Good evening and welcome to News Tonight, your one-stop for all the latest news and events from across India and the world. I am Tina Jha. Let's begin with the top stories of the day. Terrorism and cooperation on security to be focus areas for India at Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit. Prime Minister Modi to meet Chinese President Xi Jinping on the sidelines of the 8-member group meeting in Qingdao, China tomorrow. Two days after the cabinet expansion of the Kumaraswamy government in Karnataka, tensions out in the open in Congress over portfolio allocation. Supporters of many disgruntled state party MLAs hold protests in Bengaluru. Home Minister Rajnath Singh announces deployment of 9 new battalions in border areas, including 2 in sensitive areas. Says relatives of victims of Pakistani shelling in border areas will be considered for 60% reservation in 5 new battalions, 5 lakh compensation. "21 killed in rain and storm-related incidents in Bihar. More than 24 people injured. Met Department warns of heavy rains in Mumbai and Maharashtra. Predicts arrival of monsoon by the 12th of June. And national identity card and passport of former military ruler Pervez Musharraf suspended. Pakistani media reports say authorities took action on the orders of a special court hearing a treason case against him. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will leave for a 2-day visit to China on Saturday to attend the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit. The summit is being held in eastern Chinese port city of Qingdao. The 2-day summit seeks to explore concrete ways to bolster cooperation in the fight against terrorism, extremism and radicalization, besides deliberating on pressing global issues. Prime Minister Modi is likely to articulate India's position on dealing with major challenges facing the world, including ways to tackle terrorism and boosting trade and investment in the region. This is the first SCO summit where India will be participating as a full member after its induction into the organization last year. For India, the major focus at the SCO summit will be connectivity and terrorism. It will focus on increasing access to Afghanistan through Pakistan, besides using the opportunity to push the fight against terrorism.
The focus of SCO summit will be on regional security challenges with a significant outcome document on counter-terrorism. Apart from this, issues like connectivity, economic cooperation and people-to-people exchanges will also be part of the discussion.
As a regional grouping, the main focus of the SCO is to ensure regional security and connectivity of Central Asian countries with the rest of the member countries. They are also expected to discuss the situation arising out of US sanctions against Iran and the Belt and Road Initiative. Members are also expected to hold talks on the issue of Korean Peninsula ahead of the summit between US President Donald Trump and North Korean President Kim Jong-un.
Sanctions that have been imposed by the United States on Russia, on Iran and on North Korea, those sanctions will also come up for discussion. The situation in North Korea, in the North Korean Peninsula, that will also be an issue that will be discussed. What is happening, I think, as far as the West Asia is concerned, what is happening in Syria, what is happening as far as the nuclear deal, Iranian nuclear deal is concerned.
For India, the major focus will be on connectivity and terrorism. India would focus on forging connectivity from India to Afghanistan through Pakistan. India will also use the opportunity to push the fight against terrorism.
This will be the first SCO summit after India became a member in June 2017. Among other issues, the summit is expected to focus on opportunities for cooperation among SCO members and the situation in the region.
It gives an opportunity for India to work together with other major powers of the region, Eurasian region, primarily Russia and China, and then with our friends like Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, to make sure that the extremism, the religious fundamentalism, which is plaguing West Asia, which is plaguing Pakistan, which is plaguing so many other countries, is contained, is controlled, in the Eurasian region.
On the 9th of June, Prime Minister Modi will meet host Chinese President Xi Jinping, besides having short meetings with all heads of governments of all member countries. Such meetings are normally organized for a quick review of bilateral relations and also set the direction of deliberation of the SCO summit. The Prime Minister will also address the plenary session and take part in a restricted session of the summit.
Prime Minister's program in Qingdao includes participation in the welcome banquet hosted by the Chinese President Xi Jinping in the evening of 9th June 2018. The main day of the SCO summit is 10th June. Prime Minister will attend the SCO heads of states meeting in both the restricted as well as the extended formats. In addition, bilateral meetings of Prime Minister are planned on the sidelines of the summit. The SCO summit is a forum which enables India to engage with the countries of Central Asia.
The meeting with the Pakistani president is not on the agenda of Prime Minister Modi, despite the fact that Pakistan is the latest entrant at the summit with India. All members will sign a common declaration and agreement on the 10th of June at the end of the summit.
टेरर ज़रूर एक बड़ा हिस्सा होगा इसमें, और जो छिंगताओ से सबसे महत्वपूर्ण जो डॉक्यूमेंट निकलेगा इस समिट से, उसको छिंगताओ डिक्लेरेशन का नाम दिया जाएगा। तो छिंगताओ डिक्लेरेशन में मैं उम्मीद करता हूं कि काउंटर टेररिज्म के ऊपर, टेररिज्म के मुद्दे के ऊपर कुछ ना कुछ टिप्पणी ज़रूर होगी।
The SCO summit comes in the backdrop of a trade war between China and the US, fresh sanctions against Russia, and the cancellation of a nuclear deal between US and Iran. India will raise the issue of multipolarity and reforms in the UN system, also the scope of political unanimity among the member countries. It will be interesting to see how China responds to the situations in the region, especially on the issues of terrorism and balance of power.
SCO summit is taking place at a time when Malabar exercise is going on. India, Australia, Japan and America are talking in the form of Quad, and Pakistan has entered in the SCO summit for the first time as full member. It will be interesting to see that how India pushes forward the issue of terrorism and also how India-China relationship is being redefined. Akhilesh Suman for Rajya Sabha television with camera person Dusmanta in Delhi.
In fact, for more on the story, let's go across to our correspondent Vishal Daya, who's joining us live from Qingdao. Vishal, a very good evening. The summit is slated to begin tomorrow. How are the preparations going on in Qingdao? And also, if you could brief us on the issues that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is expected to raise at the summit tomorrow.
Well, the preparations are all complete here in the Qingdao city in China for the 18th summit of the SCO. In fact, the leaders who have to come in for this particular summit, some of them have already arrived. We saw a little while ago the president of Iran, the president of Pakistan and Uzbekistan. All three of them have already arrived here in Qingdao, and others are expected to arrive either tonight or tomorrow. As far as Indian Prime Minister is concerned, Prime Minister Modi is expected here tomorrow evening in the second half of the day. And once he's here, he will hold a meeting with the Chinese president and some other Central Asian leaders as well. Then day after tomorrow is the summit day, wherein he's expected to make an address at the plenary session, and the key focus of this particular summit is the issue of regional security challenges, the issue of terrorism, and of course other areas like economic cooperation and people-to-people contacts, and other cooperation in other areas like trade and research and technology as well. So
yes, for
2 days we will have the heads of state of all these nations sitting together and discussing all these issues, trying to come up to a consensus on issues specifically on regional security and terror.
All right, Vishal, many thanks for joining us with those details. So this year's SCO summit holds a special meaning for India, as it is the first that the country will attend as a full-time member of the organization. As Vishal pointed out, Prime Minister Modi will be arriving in Qingdao Saturday evening. We'll continue to track every development in Qingdao on Rajya Sabha TV, and Vishal, of course, will keep getting us ground reports from there. At the moment, let's move on to another story. 2 days after Kumaraswamy government's expansion in Karnataka, tussle over portfolios continues in the state. Karnataka Chief Minister H.D. Kumaraswamy himself stepped in to pacify the disgruntled MLAs of Allied Congress, who were unhappy with the cabinet expansion. He went on to meet Congress MLA MB Patil in an attempt to soothe flaring tempers. He also asked the Congress's central leadership to act immediately to find a solution. Patil, however, said it was an internal matter of the Congress party and Kumaraswamy cannot do anything on this issue. He said 15 to 20 MLAs will decide together on the course of action. Supporters of several Karnataka Congress MLAs who were dissatisfied with the allocations held a protest outside the party office in Bengaluru. The development comes a day after several MLAs held separate meetings in the city. On the second day of his two-day visit to Jammu and Kashmir, Union Home Minister Rajnath Singh reviewed the security situation in the state on Friday. He assured forces that they will be joined by reinforcements in the days to come. The Home Minister said, taking cognizance of repeated heavy shelling by Pakistan, the government will deploy 9 new battalions. Out of these, 2 will be deployed in sensitive areas. And 60% reservation will be given to people from border areas of Jammu and Kashmir in 5 battalions. He also assured that the army will have 5 new bulletproof ambulances in the state. Singh reiterated the MHA's scheme of giving 5 lakh rupees to the kin of those killed during cross-border firing and ceasefire violations. He said the amount will now be directly credited to the account of the next of kin and all conditions relating to fixed deposit will be removed. Earlier, the Home Minister visited the frontier district of Kupwara and interacted with residents in the border areas. He also visited the district police lines and paid tribute to the martyrs of Jammu and Kashmir police force.
76,000 या 1 लाख रुपया कोई कैजुअलिटी होती थी तो उनको मिलती थी। अब वो भी फिक्स डिपॉजिट किया जाता था 3 साल के लिए या क्या है 3 साल के लिए फिक्स डिपॉजिट और उसका उपयोग करना चाहें तो 3 साल के अंदर वो नहीं कर सकते। लेकिन अब यह फैसला किया है कि जो भी कैजुअलिटीज होंगी तो उनके परिवार के सदस्यों को 5 लाख रुपए की धनराशि मुहैया कराई जाएगी। फिक्स डिपॉजिट की शर्त हमने समाप्त कर दी है, सीधे उनके बैंक अकाउंट में पैसा जाएगा।
And Home Minister Rajnath Singh has also said that Maoists are fighting a losing battle. Responding to reports of an alleged Maoist plan to assassinate Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Rajnath Singh said that the government is very cautious about the security of the Prime Minister, asserting that the Maoist threat has considerably reduced in the country. He said that out of the 135 districts affected by Maoist violence, only 10 districts remained worst hit. Earlier in the day, Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis and the state police revealed that the Maoist plan similar to former Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi's assassination. Fadnavis said that the state police seized internal communication from a Maoist commander to his cadre, revealing the plan from a group of 5 people arrested by the Pune police on Wednesday.
वैसे हम लोग अपने प्राइम मिनिस्टर के सिक्योरिटी को लेकर बराबर गंभीर रहते हैं और माओइस्ट का जहां तक सवाल है उनके बारे में मैं कहना चाहूंगा इस समय हारी हुई लड़ाई वो लड़ रहे हैं। माओ एक्सट्रीमिज्म, माओवादी उग्रवाद अब काफी कम हो चुका है।
एक इंटरनल कम्युनिकेशन ये भी प्राप्त हुआ है जिसमें एक कमांडर ने दूसरे उनके व्यक्ति को लिखा हुआ वो पत्र है जिसमें पूरा प्लान किस प्रकार से जिस प्रकार से श्री राजीव गांधी जी की हत्या हुई थी उसी प्रकार से उसी मॉड्यूल में मोदी जी की भी हत्या किस प्रकार से की जाए इस प्रकार के प्लान को उसमें शेयर किया गया है।
BJP veteran L.K. Advani has described former President Pranab Mukherjee's visit to the RSS headquarters as a significant event in India's contemporary history. Lauding Pranab Mukherjee for accepting RSS's invitation and Mohan Bhagwat for extending the invitation, Advani said that there was significant resonance in the views expressed by both of them. He said that both highlighted the essential unity of India, which accepts and respects all diversities, including the pluralism of faiths. Pranab Mukherjee's speech at the RSS event drew praise from Congress leaders as well as from those associated with the RSS.
जिस तरह से वो और बीजेपी जवाहरलाल नेहरू के योगदान और कुर्बानियों को स्वीकार नहीं करते, भारत के निर्माण में कांग्रेस के योगदान स्वीकार नहीं करते, उनको भी वो सोच का त्याग करना होगा, जो मुझे मुश्किल लगता है। सही माने में प्रणब जी की बात का सम्मान वही होगा कि इसको ग्रहण करें।
Fundamental question is whether RSS will listen to him, because RSS did not listen to Gandhiji, RSS did not listen to Sardar Patel. Do you expect RSS to listen to Pranab? It is too much to ask from RSS.
Union Road and Transport Minister Nitin Gadkari met actor Salman Khan and his father Salim Khan as part of BJP's Sampark for Samarthan campaign on Friday. Nitin Gadkari presented the booklet of the campaign to Salman and Salim Khan in the meeting at Salman's Galaxy apartment. In the meeting, Nitin Gadkari shared Modi government's achievements with Salman Khan and his father. The campaign was launched by BJP President Amit Shah on the 29th of May. Under the campaign, BJP ministers and leaders are meeting eminent personalities and sharing achievements of the Modi government with them. The One Nation, One Tax GST regime will complete 1 year of its existence in a couple of weeks on the 1st of July. One of the fears about the tax globally is its potential inflationary pressure. But in India, the impact of GST on prices has been negligible in goods, particularly in the FMCG sector. Kriti Mishra reports. The goods and services tax is expected to bring down prices in the long run. But even in the short run, the government is taking various measures to curtail inflationary pressures. Nearly 50% of the goods fall under the 18% tax rate. In the earlier indirect tax regime, for many items, excise duty and state VAT and all other taxes added up to more than 25%. The government has also introduced an anti-profiteering law to ensure that the benefit due to a reduction in tax is passed on to the consumers.
In pre-GST era, excise duty charged by a manufacturer credit was not available to a VAT dealer, or VAT dealer charging VAT, but he was not in a position to take service tax credit. So what happened? This cascading has gone away in GST. So this cascading gone, creating positive impact in the pricing. For that reason, prices has not gone up.
Many items are not yet covered by the GST. Portable alcohol, crude oil, natural gas, diesel, petrol and electricity are currently out of GST. The GST Council is also making efforts to develop a consensus among states to bring petrol and diesel under the GST that could further ease inflation. The GST Council could consider bringing natural gas within the purview of goods and services tax in its next meeting.
Despite the low turnover in April, you see the collection is 94,000 crores, which is above 6,000 crore above the normal limit, right? So it means the compliance rate is increasing. Compliance rating is increasing. It means the further rate will come down now.
The World Bank has forecast a growth rate of 7.3% for India this year and 7.5% for the next 2 years, making it the fastest growing country among major emerging economies. The multilateral institution also expects GST to benefit economic activity and fiscal sustainability of India.
Australia and Malaysia had to take steps to curb the inflationary pressures after the introduction of GST. But in India, the GST Council ensured that the effective tax rates do not pinch the consumers. In fact, most of the items of mass consumption were taxed at a lower rate than the pre-GST era, and most of the essential food items were exempted. Reporting from Delhi, with camera person Prashanta, I'm Kriti Mishra for Rajya Sabha Television.
In some good news, lost traffic children will now get helping hand from the railways. In order to provide assistance to lost, abandoned and trafficked children in the railways network, the Indian Railways has launched an awareness campaign along with the National Commission for Protection of Children's Rights. Now a standard operating procedure has been put in place, which will not only involve raising awareness of all stakeholders involved to identify such children with ease, but child help desks will also be set up across stations.
This play being presented here is based on real-life incidents. Statistics say that a needy child comes in contact with railways every 5 minutes. These children requiring assistance include lost, abandoned, trafficked and run-away children. In the last 4 years, RPF has rescued close to 35,000 children, among them a large number being girls, from railway stations or trains who had either left home on their own or were being trafficked and exploited by others. The Railway Ministries has set up child desks at 88 stations to help such children.
There is not much problem. Children are through the CWC are taken to institutional childcare, and then from there the rehabilitation will start. Main thing is to restore the children to their families if they want to be restored. That is very big if. जो खुद भाग रहे हैं उनको काउंसलिंग की ज़रूरत होती है, उनको थोड़ा और रिहैबिलिटेशन की ज़रूरत होती है, और जो खो गए हैं उनको रिस्टोरेशन की ज़रूरत होती है.
It is for the first time that such a campaign has been launched to address the issue of protection of children across the entire railway system. The idea is to sensitize all stakeholders, passengers, vendors, porters. And according to the new standard operating procedure, whenever a child is found at any railway station, he or she will be escorted by rail personnel and provided care and kept safe, and also later be rehabilitated. Currently, the SOP is successfully implemented at 88 stations and will be slowly put in place at all the 8,000 railway stations in the country.
पूरे रेल विभाग में आरपीएफ का बहुत रोल है, इसमें कमर्शियल विभाग का बहुत रोल है. इनको पूरा हमने सचेत किया है कि अगर कोई बच्चा पाया जाए स्टेशन पे और उसके सिम्टम्स भी बताए हैं कि किस तरह के अगर सिम्टम्स होते हैं बच्चों में आपको देखने को मिलते हैं, तो आप क्या एक्शन लें जिससे उस बच्चे को बचाया जा सके. और जो भी बच्चों की तस्करी होती है वो जनरली रेल के माध्यम से ही होती है. तो स्टेशनों पे हमारी सजगता और हमारी सेंसिटिवनेस, ये जो मेनेस है, इस मेनेस को कम करने में काफ़ी सहायक सिद्ध होगी.
Railways, which carries about 2.5 crore passengers every day, is one of the most common transit points for traffickers who lure children to cities with the promises of good jobs but sell them into slavery as domestic workers, to work in small manufacturing units, farming, or pushed into sexual slavery. It is heartening that Railways has sprung into action to provide assistance to these lost, abandoned and trafficked children in the network. With camera person Shiv Kumar, this is Arvind Kumar Singh's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Moving on, the International Monetary Fund has welcomed RBI's decision to increase the repo rate by 25 basis points to 6.25%. IMF spokesperson Jerry Rice has called the move as an appropriate step. It is believed that in the context of rising inflation, higher oil prices, exchange rate depreciation and other domestic factors, the move will help in growth. External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj on Friday met Defence Minister of Mauritius Anurag Jugnauth. The leaders shared their views on strengthening maritime cooperation between the two countries. The meeting was in preparation of the forthcoming BRICS summit to be held in Johannesburg in July this year. Sushma was in Mauritius on a transit after a 5-day South Africa tour. Dust storm and thunder lightning related events have once again wreaked havoc in Bihar. According to reports, at least 21 people have lost their lives due to extreme weather conditions and more than 24 people are injured. Many of them died due to thunder lightning in Saharsa, Darbhanga, Samastipur and Khagadia districts. The Met Department has forecast extremely heavy rain between Saturday and Monday in Mumbai, advising people to stay indoors. The forecast means a possibility of up to 200 mm or more rain during a 24-hour period. Fearing 2005-like floods, the state government has taken precautionary steps. Fishermen have been warned against going too far out into the sea. Even BMC officials have been asked to keep schools open at all times for shelter. 3 teams of NDRF are already on standby. They've also been equipped with walkie-talkies and flood rescue material. Heavy rain has also been forecast for coastal Karnataka, Goa and South Maharashtra. News now from neighbouring Pakistan, where authorities have suspended the national identity card and passport of former military ruler Pervez Musharraf. The Express Tribune reported that the National Registration and Database Authority suspended Musharraf's national I card and passport on the orders by a special court, which was hearing a treason case against him. Musharraf was indicted in March 2014 on treason charges for imposing emergency back in 2007. The special court declared him a proclaimed offender and confiscated his property a few months after he travelled to Dubai for medical treatment in 2016. The court in March ordered the federal government to suspend his computerized national identity card and also his passport. Airstrikes on a village in Syria's rebel-held Idlib province killed at least 44 people. According to the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, Russian warplanes targeted Zardana village and caused this year's highest death toll in a single attack. 6 children were among those killed in the attack. However, the Russian Defense Ministry dismissed the observatory's reports, saying it has nothing to do with the reality. In another attack in Syria's Swida province, Islamic State group killed 22 pro-regime fighters, including 11 soldiers. 12 jihadists were also gunned down in the assault. The 22 pro-regime fighters included 9 Iranians and fighters belonging to pro-Iran Shiite militias. NASA's Curiosity rover has discovered potential building blocks of life at the surface of Mars in findings released on Thursday, making some of the strongest evidence ever that the Earth's neighbor may have harbored life. The new findings published in the journal Science describe tough organic molecules in 3-billion-year-old sedimentary rocks near the surface, as well as seasonal fluctuations of atmospheric methane in the atmosphere. NASA scientists, however, emphasize there could be non-biological explanations for both discoveries, leaving the issue of Martian life unanswered.
We found organic molecules in rocks from an ancient lake bed. Those organic molecules could have come from life. We don't know that there was ever life on Mars. The organic molecules that we found are not specifically evidence of life, because there are other sources of making those molecules, including things that are non-biological in nature.
And that's it from us in News Tonight. Thanks for your time.